I don't even know where to start with this one because having an online coaching program transformed my life. It didn't just transform my life, it has now transformed thousands of people's lives. And it's really interesting when you can have hindsight. And for those of you listening to this that don't have hindsight yet, I want to paint a picture for you because I know when I was first starting out that I second guessed every single thing that I did. I was stuck for months trying to put together the outline, trying to think about all of the things that I should include in the program, worrying about what I should charge and what I should name it and how to run it and what if people didn't get results and they would get pissed. And I was just consumed with all of these thoughts and fears. And at the same time, I just kept progressing forward because I was so committed to getting myself out of the feast or famine cycle. I was so committed to being able to have a nutrition business at the time, a nutrition business that existed outside of me. And what I mean by that is when I was working in my nutrition practice, I was taught to see clients one at a time. I was taught to have a menu of different time-based options. So I would have the initial consult for, let's say, 90 minutes, and then I would have a 60-minute consult, and then I had a 45-minute consult, and then I had a 30-minute follow-up, and I had all of these different options to see me. And so essentially people were just buying time with me, and each menu option was obviously a different fee, but it wasn't a business. I was providing a service modeled after the allopathic medical model, where you go in and you see a doctor and you tell them what's wrong with you, and then they tell you how to fix it. And that's basically it. There is no aftercare. There is no, patient experience. There is no accountability. There is no follow through. There is nothing. And that's how I was taught as a nutritionist. That is how naturopathic doctors are taught. That is how functional medicine coaches are taught. We are all taught that very same way. And what I realized very quickly was I hated it. I absolutely hated it because this is actually funny. And as I was putting the notes for this episode together, I started to really think about why I hated it so much. And here's why. I am an introvert. I am a hermit, and I don't do superficial. I don't do superficial in any area of my life. And so for me, I really thrived. Like, what feels the best for me is to have meaningful relationships with my clients. I want to get to know them. I want to know their personality. I want to know the struggles that they are facing. I want to know the way that they're motivated, the way that they respond to things, the fears that they have. I want to know all of that so that I can be the best coach for them, so that I can be the best nutritionist for them. And when you work with clients, patients in this allopathic model of selling time for money, of providing a time-based service, that relationship is not possible. It is not possible to have the kind of relationship that I wanted to have with my clients, where I genuinely got to know them, because the time that I was spending with clients was spent educating them, and it was spent making sure that they understood what to do and answering any of their questions. And that's where it ended. So unless I had a client come week after week after week, which was in my line of work rare, right? I gave them the protocol, and they would go, and even every 2 weeks for more than 2 months is rare. I wouldn't go see a naturopath every week. That's not how it works, right? I'm not going to see a functional medicine coach, health coach every week. It's not how the model is set up. And so having this type of relationship with my clients was impossible. And so not only did creating my very first signature coaching program, which was called Wow Weight Loss, I worked with menopausal women who just wanted to lose weight without giving up wine, chocolate, or popcorn. Not only did it give me time freedom, not only did it change the trajectory of my life and opened up the opportunity to grow a very profitable coaching business, it also, and I think more importantly, at least for me, it allowed me to have deep, meaningful relationships with my clients to the point where if I still see them to this day, we can have a good laugh. I can be like, remember when you blah, blah, blah? Like one of my best friends now, I worked with her stepmom years before I even knew her. And so whenever I see her stepmom, her name is Terry, we joke, we can laugh. She used to make these Christmas cookies. I was like, can you cut back on like the sugar? She's like, they're shortbread. So you really do get to know your clients in that way. Even now, I know my clients' personalities. I know what they're going through. I know that one of my clients hasn't come to a coaching call in 3 weeks because she's off the grid with her family camping. Like, I know these things about my clients, and it feels so satisfying. So, which also helps to pull you through those times where things aren't going well. Because sometimes in a business, things don't go as planned, and that's okay. And so if you can connect into your clients, if you can connect into the transformations that you are creating for them, it really does help to motivate you. It helps to remotivate you. It helps to bring back that spark and remind you of your mission and your big reason why, because it's very easy to get lost in the it's not working, this is too hard, I'm tired, I don't want to do this. And when we can reconnect back to our big reason why, which is serving our clients, which is transforming their lives, it invigorates us and it remotivates us. So there are plenty of reasons to have an online coaching business, plenty. But the ability to have a business outside of myself that provided transformation and the relationship with the clients were two of the major driving forces for me to learn how to do this, to learn this business model, to learn what I need to do to have a profitable coaching business. So let's talk about understanding coaching programs. I'm going to go right from the beginning because I speak to thousands of practitioners and coaches every single day. And when I ask them, can you explain to me the online business coaching model? And they look at me like I have four heads and steam is coming out of my nose. And like, there are fairies dancing around. They're like, no. And it's interesting because I didn't know what it was either, but everybody wants it. Everybody wants to have an online coaching program. Everybody wants to have an online coaching business, but nobody knows what it actually is. Nobody knows what the business model of an online coaching business is. So I'm going to explain it to you quickly so that we can move on into what you need to make it profitable. So a coaching business includes the key elements that any and all businesses include. It's the only difference between, let's say, a coaching business and a clothing store is that the items that are being sold is the coaching program versus the shirt. So all businesses need some type of niche, some type of audience that they're going to sell to. Then they need leads. Then they need to nurture those leads. Then they need to have a sales process. Then they need to have product or program delivery. And then they need to have ascension. That is what makes up a business in general. With a coaching business, we still have that. We have the niche and the ideal client. we have lead gen, we have nurture, we have enrollment, which is sales, and we have the product or program, which is your coaching offer. You might have multiple offers. And then you have delivery of that. So, like, how are you actually going to deliver it? And then you have ascension, which means the clients that went through your coaching program are going to ascend to another offering, and you're going to keep them in your world, right? You're going to keep them returning to you. So I don't know about you, but I have clothing stores. There's basically two. One is Banana Republic. The other one is SOS. Those are the two places I shop at. I don't really shop anywhere else because it's annoying and I don't like to shop. So for me, I am a returning customer, and that's what you want. You want to create returning clients. You want to create returning customers. And the way that you do that is by creating a phenomenal client experience. Even if your clients don't get the results that they expected to, but they had a phenomenal experience, they will want to continue working with you. So a coaching program is the offering that your coaching business sells in order to generate revenue. And I also thought it would be helpful to talk about the difference between a coaching program, an online coaching program, and an online course. And so a coaching program is structured to deliver a transformation. You're taking somebody from a pain point to a desired outcome, whereas a course is structured to teach a skill. So if we think about coaching, coaching is personal development, it's physical development, it's emotional development. It's taking someone from where they're at, which is a persistent, painful problem, and it's giving them action items to do that you are coaching them through so that they transform in some way and then are a different human being when they're done working with you. The persistent, painful problem has been resolved. Whereas a course is typically self-guided and it is taught. It's not coached. There's a difference between coaching and teaching. And too many practitioners and coaches still teach and don't coach. And so one is coaching development, one is teaching skill acquirement. And so that's the difference. And you might be a practitioner or a coach who would rather have a course. You know, something that comes to mind, if you do, for example, breath work, you might want to create a course on how to do breath work to reduce stress. You could also create a coaching program. It just depends on how involved you want to be and the way that you are going to deliver it, right? A course is basically created to teach them how to do it on their own. You wash your hands of it, whether they do it or they don't, it's up to them. It's a course. Coaching is you're going to come every single week and we're going to talk about your resistance and we're going to talk about your challenges, and I'm going to coach you to implement the strategies that I am teaching you in my breathwork protocol. And so they are very different. And typically a coaching program includes live coaching. So either on a one-to-one basis or in a group program. It includes accountability, it includes support, and it includes community. Some courses include things like Q&A sessions to be able to ask your questions. But again, that's not the same thing as coaching, right? Teaching and Q&A is not the same as coaching. Coaching is a development of a mindset, a behavior. It is a development. So I hope that helps to understand the difference between a coaching program and a course, and also what a coaching program is. So let's talk about the benefits of running an online coaching program, and then we'll dive into the elements that make it profitable. So some of the benefits are pretty obvious. Time freedom, location independence, and if you speak to some of the practitioners and coaches that I work with inside of Zero to Clients, which is my 6-month all-inclusive business coaching program, they would say, I don't have time freedom. And I would say that's incorrect. You happen to work a lot, but you work on your own time, which is time freedom. I don't have a boss telling me that I have to be somewhere at a specific time. Even for my team members here at the Wellness Business Hub, they have flexibility over their time in so much as they can schedule a doctor's appointment during the day. They don't have to ask permission. We have Flex Friday. So they have flexibility and geographic location freedom as long as there's a strong Wi-Fi. Like, work where you want. And so that's the benefit of having an online coaching business. The other benefits are it's rooted in transformation. So if you are someone who feels called to use your personal experience, to use your professional training to serve others, for whatever reason is motivating you, that is definitely the benefit. It's leveraged. So I would say 70% of what we do in coaching programs is leveraged in terms of leveraging tech, leveraging automations, leveraging paid advertising, leveraging the ability to bring in team members so that you can go and work on growing the business. Whereas selling time for money in that sort of very allopathic model, there's not much that can be leveraged. And I didn't like that. It's also scalable. So I work with clients in Zero to Clients and in my Freedom Mastermind where they are hiring coaches, where they are hiring coaches to moderate their community groups, to support their client questions. They are now hiring a second tier level of support in order to free up more of their time. And that's what I've done in Zero to Clients. Years ago, I used to business coach one-to-one. Then I created the first iteration of Zero to Clients. And we've just been iterating it ever since. And inside ZTC, we have about 15 incredible team members that are now supporting the practitioners and coaches inside of that coaching program, because I can't do it all myself. If I had to do it all myself, everybody would ask for a refund because I wouldn't be able to answer their questions same day. I wouldn't be able to be on the live chat. We wouldn't be able to offer unlimited one-to-one coaching. Like, having a coaching program as an entity that exists outside of yourself makes it scalable. You can facilitate it from anywhere you want. I have facilitated my business coaching calls from anywhere. I am facilitating coaching calls tomorrow from a chalet that I rented with my son. And I'm going to be there and I'm going to be working a little bit. I'm going to work for about 3 hours in the morning and then I'm going to go have fun with him. So you really can facilitate it from anywhere. And also you can take time off and it not disrupt your income, which is lovely. I think that's also an amazing benefit. And client results. There's so much data and research that states that having accountability and support and community radically improves client outcomes, radically improves them, because change is hard. And we know that the readiness to change continuum is a continuum. And so because we live in a world where we can't exempt ourselves from triggers and environments that aren't supportive to our efforts, we will have clients that will take 2 steps forward and 3 steps back, and 1 step forward and 1 step forward and 1 step forward and then 1 step back. And so being able to touch base with them every single week, being able to hold them accountable, being able to support them obviously increases their positive outcomes. So those are just a couple of benefits. I probably don't need to convince you anymore that having an online coaching program is the way of the future. It is, in my opinion, an absolute must for any practitioner or coach who is really committed to serving others and is committed to transformation. It doesn't mean that that's the only thing you have to have, but I definitely think that you should. So let's talk about the key elements of having a successful, profitable online coaching program. So the very first thing that we need to talk about is the client transformation journey, right? When we talk about a coaching program, what that means is you are taking someone from where they are today and you are building a protocol, you are creating a system, you are creating a step-by-step blueprint plan, whatever you want to call it. I like to call it a protocol in my mind. That takes them from where they are, and as long as they implement the actions that you are telling them to do, they will then leave the program achieving a certain desired outcome, achieving a transformation. And so in order for us to create client results, which obviously contribute to the program being profitable, because you want to be able to have client testimonials, you want to be able to have client wins, you also want to know that what you're doing is working, right? So the very first thing we have to look at to make the program successful is the client transformation journey, where they are starting from in terms of the condition that they have and the persistent painful problem, and then the desired outcome. And so when we work with practitioners and coaches in Zero to Clients, we talk to them about creating their coaching program outline based on fundamentals and the lowest common denominator. That way, anybody coming into the program can follow it. What we don't want to do is we don't want to recreate the certification course or the diploma program or the 4-year degree that you attended, right? You're not teaching them holistic nutrition. You're not teaching them life coaching. You're not teaching them fitness. They are following a protocol that you have put together so that you can resolve, fix, heal, whatever you want to call it, their condition. And so in that will come education, but it's not the same thing as teaching them about diabetes. It's not the same thing as teaching them about meditation. You are giving them meditation techniques in order to resolve a specific problem. And so the very first thing that we need to do is we need to map out the client transformation journey. Where are they starting from, and what is the desired outcome? And then now we have to fill in the gaps, and we have to say, okay, what do they need to learn and what do they need to do in a given period of time, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, 16 weeks, for them to actually get that desired outcome, keeping in mind that most people won't do the protocol 100%. So even if they did the protocol at 10% or 25% or 50%, it's better than nothing, and they will get great results, and they will have you to thank for it. Side note, when I say protocol, what I mean is that 8, 12, or 16-week program. So however many modules that is, whatever that looks like for you. But in my mind, it's a protocol because they're following it, and each step is built on the previous, and it's sort of like this accumulative effect so that by the time they're done, they will now have better hydration habits, they will have better sleep habits, they will have accumulated a bunch of different things that now, when combined, is sort of, to the degree that is possible, ensures that they get the transformation. And so it's helpful to think about your coaching program in 2 sections. One is a protocol, the protocol that you create, those modules, the education, the learning lessons, and the action tasks. And then the other side of it is the program supports, right? So you have the protocol, which is pre-recorded learning lessons and action tasks put into a content hub. And then you have all the supports, the coaching, the accountability, the community, the follow-ups, all of that kind of stuff. So it's really those 2 things together, those 2 things combined, which gets the best client outcomes. If you were to just have the content hub in and of itself, the protocol in and of itself, your clients should be able to follow it, but the likelihood of compliance goes way down because there isn't the accountability, there isn't the community, there isn't the coaching, and there isn't the support. So you can do like a self-study, you can do like a do it yourself, like a DIY kind of thing, but the results that you are going to get from that are going to be less than you would if you included the program support. So when we're talking about creating a successful coaching program, it really does include those two sections where we have, the protocol that they follow, and then also the program supports. And the other thing that really, I want to say, makes the program successful and allows it to be, allows it to be simpler to enroll clients into, is that the coaching program must solve a specific, persistent, painful problem for an ideal client. Otherwise, if it doesn't, they don't need to work with you. And prospects should feel like they need to work with you. And so the more specific you can get with the condition and the persistent painful problem that you solve, the easier, I don't want to say easier, the more, the higher your conversion rates will be, and it will feel more aligned, and it will be simpler to grow the audience, nurture, and enroll than if you had something that was generic, general, and vague. Because nobody needs something that's generic, general, and vague. That would be more like a course. So I have practitioners and coaches who want to put together, for example, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, like something about, let's just use breath work, right? Where they don't really have a persistent, painful problem. Like they have a hard time choosing. And so maybe then that turns into a course, right? Where it really doesn't matter. It's for anybody who wants to learn breath work. You can talk about the different ways that breath work can help people. Or you say, no, I want to work with women over 40 who are struggling in perimenopause to regulate their nervous system. And I'm going to put them through a breathwork protocol along with other stress reducing strategies to really support the nervous system. So those are two different ways to work through it. But breathwork isn't the condition. Right? Breathwork isn't the condition. Neither is wellness, neither is vitality, neither is confidence, neither is plant-based, neither is intuitive eating. Those things aren't conditions, nor are they persistent painful problems. And so when we're thinking about creating a profitable coaching course, we have to look at a condition that someone knows that they have, and that condition is creating a persistent painful problem. So for example, let's take migraines. Right? Migraines is a condition that someone suffers from. So what persistent painful problem is the migraine creating? They're missing work. They're afraid they're going to get fired. That creates a need, right? We can now tie migraines as the condition to the primary areas of life that are being ruined by this condition of migraine. And so now when we go and we create the coaching program to solve migraines, we can talk about how when you go through my coaching course specifically designed to solve migraines, you're going to not only reduce your migraines, but you will also resolve the fear of losing your job, and you're going to be able to be productive in your career and achieve whatever it is that you would like to achieve moving forward in your life. That is motivating somebody to want to work with you because there's a clear condition that they suffer from. You can then connect that condition to the primary areas of their life in terms of how is having migraines, how is having endometriosis, how is having plantar fasciitis, how is having shoulder pain, how is having seasonal allergies, how is having painful periods, how is having acne, how is having infertility, how is having hot flashes, how is having what social anxiety, how is having anxiety, how is having depression, like how is having all of these things now negatively impacting their intimate relationships, their social relationships, their environment, their career, their financial status, their health status, their emotional status, their mental health. We can now draw a direct line to how the condition that they're experiencing is creating a persistent painful problem in their life. And so when you have that, then the next question becomes, okay, cool. How am I going to solve for that? How am I going to solve for migraines? How am I going to solve for burnout? How am I going to solve for plantar fasciitis? How am I going to solve for osteoporosis? How am I going to solve for pelvic floor, peeing my pants, pelvic floor pain? I have one client. It's the best because when we get on, we talk about, headlines and it's like 5 ways to stop peeing my pants, right? She is a pelvic floor specialist. And so these are conditions that people are suffering from, and they are persistent, and they are painful, and they are absolutely decreasing someone's quality of life. And you have the ability to put together a protocol, a protocol, and include coaching support so that you can transform that person's life, so that you can, even at 10%, even at 25%, even at 50%, whatever, you can now reduce the condition and the symptoms that come along with it and increase their quality of life. And so that is what makes a coaching program profitable. It's not how pretty your handouts are, or it's not how beautiful your content hub looks. Believe me, my content is ugly. My content is ugly. I don't give a shit what it looks like, to be honest. All I care about is that you execute it. We don't spend any time designing handouts. I don't spend any time designing anything because it does not matter to your compliance. It really doesn't. How pretty my handouts are has no bearing over whether or not you are going to do it. You are not motivated by a pretty PDF. Clients are not motivated by logos. Clients are not motivated by fancy anything. In my opinion, it actually just detracts. It just detracts from what you want to do, because sometimes we get too fancy with things, and then it's hard to read, and then it's confusing, and it hurts your eyeballs when you're reading it because there's like all of this design. Anyway, that's a tangent. But what we are looking for is the client transformation journey. And also, we are looking for the program to solve a condition that is creating a persistent, painful problem that we can directly relate to the primary areas of life. And this is where a lot of practitioners and coaches struggle. They struggle with picking the condition. They struggle with understanding what the persistent painful problem is and how that is deteriorating the primary areas of life. That so many practitioners and coaches struggle with that. When they come into Zero to Clients, my 6-month all-inclusive coaching program, business coaching program, and we work together at the very beginning. I coach them on their niche and their ideal client. This is very difficult for life coaches. This is very difficult for energy healers. This is very difficult for people who don't work in the physical realm, because it's easy to be like, oh, I do diabetes, or I do acne, or I do infertility. Like, that is a clearly defined condition. But what we have to do in the sort of life coaching side is we have to say, okay, I know that you can help anyone and everyone with your life coaching strategies, but what is something that, tugs at your heart? What is something that what is a problem that you really want to help people with? Maybe it's, for example, moms recovering from divorce. So now we have to look at it and go, okay, well, why is that a persistent, painful problem? What is the condition that this mom has that is negatively impacting the primary areas of her life? And now we can put a life coaching protocol together to be able to resolve that condition in her life. And so this is what allows us to put together the protocol, because when we have the client transformation journey based off of where they are now and where they want to be. And we know the condition and we know the persistent painful problem. We're now able to brainstorm, okay, what do they need to know? And more importantly, what do they need to do in order to get from where they are to achieve that desired outcome? And when you have that, then you can take that protocol and you can now know how to market it. You can now go and say, okay, this is the condition that I work with. This is my ideal client. This is my protocol. This is how I help them. And from there, you can say, okay, what is a predominant symptom that my ideal client struggles with? And you turn that into a lead magnet. And the lead magnet is directly tied to the condition and the persistent painful problem that you solve in your coaching program. And it has to be, otherwise you're going to build a whole audience of people who are not going to say yes to you because they don't feel the need to work with you because it's not relevant. Your offer isn't relevant to them. And so we want to make sure, in order to have a profitable coaching program, in order to have an audience filled with, we call them purple ducks, filled with purple ducks who have the problem that you can solve, that actually has to start at the initial point of contact, right? So in Zero to Clients, the first thing I do with my clients is we do the niche, the ideal client, then we do the program, then we do lead gen. A big mistake that practitioners and coaches make is they start with lead gen. And so the lead gen is not directly tied to the coaching program, and therefore they build an audience of randoms. And then when they go and finally launch the thing, it doesn't really work out for them because their audience is not filled with purple ducks who have the persistent painful problem that their coaching program solves. And so that's what really makes the coaching program profitable. It's having an audience that has the condition, that has the persistent painful problem, and your ability to validate that for them, your ability to say, hey, I know that this is impacting your marriage, your relationship with your children, your career, your finances, your physical health, your emotional health. That's what messaging is, right? That's what nurture content is. It's the ability to speak their truth. And when you have an audience of, we call them purple ducks, that have the persistent painful problem and you're speaking their truth, why wouldn't they want to enroll into your coaching program? Why not? Right? If you're demonstrating that you know exactly what's going on for them and you have a protocol that fixes it, why wouldn't they want that? Even at a $2,000 price mark, even at a $3,000 price mark, if they're suffering and you are demonstrating, not teaching, but you are relating their persistent painful problem to these areas of life, and you're educating them on why this is happening to them and how and what needs to happen in order for them to resolve it, and then you go and you open up 5 spots, why wouldn't they want to take one? But most practitioners and coaches don't do that. You stay general, you talk about wellness, you talk about oh my gosh, I just lost it. Plant-based eating. You talk about intuitive eating. Those are not painful problems. You're talking about how you're going to help them, but that they don't want to buy that, right? That's what goes in your coaching program. You walking them through intuitive eating is how you help them. But so stop talking about how you help them and start talking about the condition that they are suffering from and what you're going to do to fix it. So we have to switch the conversation, and that is how you build an audience. That is how you enroll clients, and that is how you create a coaching program that takes someone from the persistent painful problem where they're at today and then gets them to a state of transformation, even if they do the coaching program at 10%, 15%, 25%, and so on. So I hope that helps. I hope it gives you a lot of clarity around what a coaching program is and how to start thinking about it and thinking about that condition that you can solve for, right? What is the condition that someone would say that they have, right? Maybe it's overwhelm, maybe it's guilt, whatever it is, that is what you are creating your coaching program to solve for. So, as always, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Please go and subscribe to the Zero to Clients podcast on iTunes and Spotify, and I will see you in the next one.